What you're looking at here is a 1926 Climax geared locomotive. What's a geared locomotive that you might ask? Well, it's a steam locomotive that actually drives through a gearbox. There's jack shafts driving the front set of bogies, jack shaft driving the rear set of bogies, much like your four-wheel drive car today. It's designed to run on rough forestry tracks, very, very slow, top speed of about 9 miles an hour, but enormously powerful, and of course with the bogie arrangement it can run over almost anything. So if there's a bit of rail there, it'll climb over it. This was restored initially in the early 1980s by a group of volunteers who really only intended to have it running briefly. Eventually its boiler ticket expired. Some quite dodgy repairs on the boiler that we discovered, and you can imagine being out in the middle of nowhere, they got up to all sorts of things to keep it running. So it was then withdrawn and it sat for a long period of time, and then we had an American enthusiast who came out and worked in our workshop, a guy called Link Nickerson, and he came out and offered to rebuild the boiler in his boiler works. So he and a guy called Jack Corrick, who came out at the same time, embarked upon a project to rebuild the boiler, which they did, and then it came back out here, and we then finished the job off, including rolling an original smoke box for it. And again, we started on the restoration project yet again, and here you have it today. It's probably now in better shape than it was when it was brand new, because originally it came out, it was shipped out by the Climax Manufacturing Company in Pennsylvania, and it was assembled by the Victorian Railways, and so it came out in crates. It was assembled by the Victorian Railways and then packed off to the Forestry Commission, which then ran the thing out through Tyers Junction, where all it did was haul log trains all the time. Very primitive, quite robust, and it's only one of a couple now running in the world. In fact, this is the only ever built 2'6" gauge Climax. The rest of them were basically 3'6" or 4'8½".
That's a rare loco, one rare locomotive.
One thing that's interesting, if I may, this particular pipe here. Now, of course, you imagine being out in the middle of nowhere, there's no water towers or anything. You took your pipe, you dropped it into the creek, primitive filtering system here, and you actually have the ability to draw water up and put it into the tank at the back, which holds about 600 gallons of water.
Mm. And just to point out, there's a wood burner as well.
It's a wood burner, yes.
There's logs ready to go.
Yeah, all ready to go. In some ways it's wonderfully historic, but from a firing point of view it can be a pain in the...
Bit tricky.
It can be quite tricky.
But wood in a steam locomotive is quite rare these days, but in the future we could see a lot more wood burning steam engines back again.
Yeah.
Limitations on fossil fuels, etc. You never know.
Yeah.
I don't think we've seen the last of these mighty machines, if you ask me.
This thing's interesting too, because originally built, it had a steam brake, but to make it air brake compatible on our railway, we modified the braking system, and as you can see, you've got an air compressor here for generating air for your brakes. So,
so that's something you've added that wouldn't have been there in the first place.
No, not at all.
It's in superb condition. Only 2 in the world.
Yeah, there's only, I think, 2 or 3 operating in the world. This is the only 2'6" one.
Yeah, I've never seen one before. Only in books.
Well, there you go. It's in the flesh.
Wow, amazing. We'll just take a look at the plate up there. I'll read it to you just in case you can't read it. Climax MFG Company, patented February 25th, 1890, March 18th, 1890, June 30th, 1891. December 20th, 1892, locomotive number 1694, Corey, PA. Lovely. Thanks, John.
You're welcome. And what it's designed to do is to catch the ash and the cinders from the burning wood, and at the end of your trip you can see the little chute there.
Oh yeah, and just empty the...
You flick it up and all the ash falls out.
Yeah, obviously for hot weather and things.
Yeah. Well, it's just designed.
You're going to have...
Imagine working in forests and that sort of thing. It's pretty overgrown and... Yeah.
Generous light on the front as well. Just going to take a little walk round.
Absolutely.
You can see some of the fixtures and fittings on there.
These here are interesting too. You can see these round bits here at the side. These were designed that you could actually put a block of wood in. If you had a truck on another track, rather than try and push in, if you like, to go and shunt the track, you had a block of wood large lump of wood that would come out, and you could push the carriages on an opposite track. That's why they're slightly angled, and that would enable you could be running on another track and just
push the wagons in.
Yeah.
Yeah, just things hump shunted, but from an angle.
Yeah, handbrake here, which is a bit awkward if you're in the cab. You need to go out and put the handbrake on, but
yeah,
that's how it is.
I suppose they would have had a chap on the front, and he would have been doing the handbrake.
They'd have people all over the thing.
Yeah. Let's have a look down this side. Any other interesting features? Well, you obviously got the bell, which is typical of locomotives at this age as well.
Yep.
Pressure gauges and the whistle, the steam whistle.
Yep. It's got a very mellow whistle. It sounds absolutely wonderful.
So it should sound woo.
Yeah, almost.
Something like that.
Yep.
Just to make the noise, I know.
Yeah.
And just inside the cab as well. That's the workings inside the cab. Very basic, but functional.
It's almost, if you like, I call it a railroad traction engine.
Yeah, yeah, it is very simple, isn't it?
Yeah,
not,
very, very simple.
Yeah, not compared to maybe, an A4 or something, which is, the decorations, brass, bronze everywhere, shiny pipes, glorious, but just a practical engine. And there's the wood as well in the back, in the tender. Any plans to fire her up for any events or anything coming?
I think there's an event coming up in about 2 weeks' time, I think.
Right.
We only use it on special events, really.
Yeah.
I mean, at sort of 5 miles an hour, it gets in everybody's way.
Yeah, it would do. It takes such a long time to get anywhere.
But when it's out and going, it's just beautiful.
Yeah, I bet it pulls the crowds as well. People come from miles to see this thing working.
Yeah, the American rail enthusiasts love the thing.
Yeah. Very similar to George Stephenson's layout on the Rocket as well, just there. Later on they changed the angle.
Yeah, well, I think these ended up on an angle just so that everything would fit in.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, beautiful.
But it's really wonderful. I mean, when it's going, you get the grind of the gear wheels and all the noises. I mean, it rattles and bangs and crashes. You swear it's going to fall. You swear it's going to fall apart.
Yeah, you sound like something's broken.
Yeah.
I've not had the pleasure to hear one of these running yet.
You want to hear them run?
Yeah, I will. I'm sure when I've seen it, I'm going to search your.
It's a massive gears, and when you, it's frightening. People say, "Oh, is it falling apart?" You say, "No, it's just the way it works."
Yeah, you get a lot of clanking, especially with this
massive
spinning round.
Well, this spins round very quickly, but you've got the gear wheels in there that you can't see. It's probably too dark, but you've got gear wheels in there, gear wheels in the gearbox, gear wheels at each pony.
Oh yeah, I can see them.
Each wheel is driven, so therefore there's lots of other gears. There's a lot of noise.
Just lots of noise. Yeah. Beautiful. There you are. You can see one of the oil cans in the front. There. Right, Thomas the Tank Engine, number 1.
This is for our Thomas special events. It's actually underneath all of the Masquerade is Locomotive 1711, which is the Peckett design for the English. Let me just get my keys and I'll open the door up and then you can see what's underneath.
Yeah.
Another one of those fine English locomotives. This was also part of the Melbourne Gas Works collection. And it's been very successful as Thomas.
There you go, yet again just a basic setup for shunting in Docklands, nothing too flash.
Well, this used to, as I say, this was part of the Melbourne Gas Works collection. So you remember we saw the Corval down in the workshop this morning?
Yeah, that's right.
This is one of the engines that worked with it on the Melbourne Gas Works. And down the front here we have one that's had a rather checkered career, and it's now on private loan to us again from Colin Rees, and this is again a de Corval, but it's been it's different. It's grown a few bits and pieces.
Yeah.
And we use this principally now for footplate experience trains. Over its checkered history, it's been rebuilt into this sort of Wild West style.
Oh yeah.
We've added a leading and trailing pony truck. Originally the engine was just simply an 040 de Corval.
Yeah.
And all of this has grown onto it since.
Yeah,
lovely little engine.
Yeah, it looks nice. Rather, it's very fancy.
It's got a wonderful 5-chime whistle on it.
5-chime.
It sounds beautiful when it goes.
There you are, with a nice bell as well on there, as well as the whistle. Ding, ding, ding. You should hear it coming from a mile away. Let's have a look from the front. There we go. You hear that ringing? In the old films, you used to hear them ringing when the train was going quite fast. It would go over a set of points and no one would touch the bell, but the bell would ring on its own. Wonderful.
And again, you can see it's had a Hunter Radley smokestack fitted to it, probably to sort of add to the Wild West flavour of it.
Yeah. You know, just inside the cab as well.
And this engine's actually been named after Colin's late father, Jack Rees. So we're very, very lucky to have these on loan from Colin. Colin's actually the same guy that bought the Dobwalls collection.
Oh yeah.
Leading hand up here.
Hi there, pleased to meet you. Okay,
Nice
don't
to
worry
meet
if
you,
you've got dirty hands, don't bother me.
I won't.
Right, well come on, show me around. You're in charge.
Yeah, this is a carriage.
Is it? Really? Doesn't happen to be made of wood
That's as
by
far
any
as-
chance, does it?
This is a guard's van.
Is that a clock up on the wall?
What is this? Nicholas, what were you doing driving home in Vauxhall last night smoking a pipe in that lovely old car? You got this dirty pipe smoking. I thought to myself, I ought to jump out and rip that pipe out of your mouth.
So we got.
What are we working on then at the moment?
At the moment, we're just going to pull the bogies out from underneath.
What'd you say, mate?
Underneath this, and just
You
check a few
going
things.
down,
Yeah,
That's in for annual lift. Once a year, the carriages come in.
yeah.
You pull out the
Yeah.
bogies.
How old is this carriage?
That carriage would be around about 1908.
1908.
Around about that area.
Yeah. And
Maybe,
it was-
maybe even earlier. I reckon that might even be 1901.
Yeah.
Because they were very early in the piece.
Yeah, there's probably no date stamps on it anyway, are there?
No,
so
not
any-
much that would have had the dates
Yeah,
on it
any
originally.
plates probably been stolen in that over the years and
Exactly.
things. That's what happens when you leave them. There's a
Yep.
bogey there.
Yeah, that's a fox bogey. Over the other side, that's the wood butcher side. He's just finished painting that one. Rebuild, repaint. And that's just started its repaint and rebuild there on that other side.
How long's it going to take you before you get that back?
About
Running.
a month and a half.
Not too long then, really.
No, it's not too bad. And that's only one bloke, and we get a few volunteers in.
Yeah. Are you all volunteers or is it a mixture?
There's three of us that work full time in here, and then we have a number of volunteers that turn up.
If that's me ringing, you just ignore it.
Is it your pocket again? Is it?
Yeah. That's Lotto manager. You've
No caller on there.
Don't answer it, no caller ID.
Yeah, that's right.
But that's the sort of work we do with the characters. It's amazing what these characters get up to up and the work
Or they,
as well.
yeah, or they don't get up to. No, great job, isn't it?
Oh, it is.
It's
They
a
do
great
it.
job.
They do a sensational job.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's that. It's all happening. I'll grab that. No caller ID.
What about that truck we found, Murray, that had the... Oh, he's on the phone. We found a truck here one day that we were pulling the boards off it, and inside the blokes that have been working on it. What date was it? Remember the date?
One in H, no, I forget the date, it was pretty early.
1913 or something? That's all signed their names inside the carriage, inside. And we didn't know till we actually pulled the outer boards off. Here were these guys' names and their signatures in 1913 on it.
That's rare.
Yeah, it is. It is. So we took some pictures and we sealed it up again.
Brilliant.
I don't know whether these later can put their names at the bottom of it or not.
They should have. You
the
deserve to have.
signatures.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you would
My
have
ex.
deserved to have your name on there.
Yeah, I'll put my X there.
All right, well, we'll get out of your hair.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. All right. Have a great day.
No worries.
Right, now you can get the barbecue back out now.
Yeah, and you can sit down. I've seen the deck chairs. I won't tell anyone. There you go. There's some more.
This is a little shunting engine.
Lathe
You
turning.
need to move them around the workshop.
And the shunting engine used to run underneath the viaduct, the old trestle bridge. Is that right?
Well, it was part of the Melbourne Metropolitan Board of Works. It was principally underground for the Cardinia Creek and Thompson dams.
Oh yeah. Now it just serves up here,
Just
shunting the
serves up here as
coach
a
in.
little shunter.
Yeah, yeah, lovely. And then once they've done that, they'll just drag the bogie out, service it, Obviously when it's been serviced, wheel it back in, drop the carriage back down, and it's ready to go. There we go, simple as that. Cool, you make it look easy.
We've made it look twice as much.
Yes, we have.
Fantastic, thanks. There we go, and there's the carriage with absolutely nothing underneath, suspended in mid-air.
Yeah, they normally do their cars in here when I'm not looking, you know, over the pit, up with the oil change.
Name is?
David Baker,
And you are?
the museum manager.
Lovely, I'm Sean. Pleased to meet you.
How are you?
Let's have a walk round. You can show us what you're up to.
So this is our workshop at the moment where we're doing up exhibits to take into the main display
Yeah,
shed.
yeah.
In here at the moment there's a pair of Fowler diesels, Perry Engineering of Adelaide 062, sorry.
Right. When do you hope to have that running? 10, 15?
Yeah,
Yeah, about that.
it's a slow project.
It's a yeah. Should we head off into the museum and go and have a look
we'll
around?
head downstairs.
You've got some wheels there as well. What are they off of?
It's another 10-ton Avelian Porter.
Right.
So this is ex-South Melbourne City Council,
Yeah.
this one.
Which is the one just over under the green top?
No, that's another one. That's
Ah.
New South Wales Randwick City Council.
Right.
This is the South Melbourne City Council, so it's in parts at the moment.
And there's a boiler just tucked over the back that we can see. What's that from? Is that from one of the?
That's one of the Puff and Billy engines, NAs.
Yeah.
That's an Australian-built copy of the Baldwin boiler.
Yeah. For restoration.
No, just for basically just to preserve an original riveted construction.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Seriously covered in rivets, isn't it? Okay. Should we wander in?
Yep.
Here we are in the museum. Oh, look at this.
So this has been up
A
about.
tractor train as well.
Yeah, this building's been up about 3 years now.
Yeah. There we go. Look, you can see it's got the firing order 1, 3, 4, 2. There's the cylinders at the top there as well. I've actually seen a tractor engine somewhere dumped out in the middle of a field somewhere. Where were we? On the road to Tipperary or Ballarat? I can't remember now.
So this is a Days-built rail tractor. So it utilises a McCormick Deering 8 horsepower tractor
Yeah.
on top of a Days-built rail body.
Okay, what else have we got down here? Oh, you've got a hell of a selection.
There's two Hudswell Clarks. So there's a 1951 built 060 tender
Yeah.
Hudswell Clark. The last steam engine imported by CSR Australia.
Where was it imported from?
Leeds.
Leeds, England. There we go.
So they were imported loco unit only, and then
Yeah.
the tenders were home built.
Ah, what's your plans for this one? Is this under restoration?
Boiler inspection.
Boiler inspection. So when you've inspected the boiler, it's all going back together
And it'll operate.
and it will be operated. When do you expect to see that on the line?
Sometime the next 18 to 2 years.
Yeah, you've got quite a lot of projects here. It's quite an extensive collection as well. Take a look at this green one, number 4. What have we got here?
So it's another Hudswell Clark, 1925 built. Another CSR Canefields engine.
Lovely. And then we've got, looks like Friends with Thomas, or?
It's a Bagley designed but RMP built diesel.
Yeah.
So it was actually an early import for CSR for diesel locos.
Ah, right. Now, what's the one in front? Is that anything to do with a military?
Yes, that's a Melbourne Locomotive rail tractor.
Ah, yeah. Second World War, possibly,
Yes.
or?
Yes. So they were basically an Australian Railways, Australian Army kit railway. So you could order a loco,
Yeah.
panel track,
Yeah.
wagons, and it'd all be sent to you in the field.
Yeah, and they'd laid a track down. Was there armour on there originally, or?
No armour.
So they were just open to the elements with
Yes.
bullets flying around their ears. But I suppose they would have been behind the front line. That's something that you don't see very often. And you've got wagon over there. Is that a trench wagon or for ammunition?
That's just another self-tipping mining wagon.
Oh, yeah.
So on the other side, it's got a wheel that's attached to the bucket, so that as it passes
yeah.
by a ramp, it automatically tips.
Yeah, we've actually been up to Walhalla, and there are a couple of these, not this scale, but underground wagons, just a bit smaller than this, but very similar. You've got some coaches there as well. There's another
Yeah,
boiler.
Victorian Railways guards vans, narrow gauge guards vans.
Yeah, and now I suppose they're under restoration as well.
Storage for the moment.
Storage, yeah. Yeah, you've got quite a lot of projects and a car as well, a GTS. It's quite interesting, and that's a lovely ute, isn't it? Quite collectible. And a Fordson tractor there. Is this museum open to the public? Or?
Not at the moment.
Not at the moment. Have you got plans to open it?
Yeah, basically we're still doing track work and
Yeah.
assembly at the front.
Yeah, you've certainly got a lot going on. Should we take a look at these two locos? Perhaps you can tell us what these are up here.
So the Sub Nigel, that's a Orstein and Koppel, German built.
Yeah.
Purchased by SKF Bearings originally.
Ah, yeah.
They converted the coupling rods and the big rod, the big end, to roller bearings, and then it was sold onto the Sub Nigel gold mine in South Africa.
Oh, wow, and it's come back to Australia.
Yeah, the society purchased it in the late 60s, early 70s as a basically a variance of what steam locos were. So this one's a well tank.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So we're looking at a George under-fired multi-tubular boiler, which was produced in Melbourne.
Yeah.
The boiler itself was used by the Malvern City Council to drive, which is to the right, a vertical tangy, which then drove a stone crushing machine. The black steam engine with the flywheel is a Bellis and Morecambe built high-speed steam engine, which drove a wood pulping machine at the Fairfield APM paper plant in Melbourne. We then have a WH and Allen's high-speed steam engine, which is coupled to a forgotten the name of the generator. Brush generator.
Is that brush traction, Loughborough?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was used to power the Kodak Australia Abbotsford plant. Then over to the right we have a horizontal tangy, which was part of the RMIT college, which was used to train new reciprocating engine drivers. So they'd pull the machine down, reassemble it, learn all the componentry.
And you can clearly see some of the machinery says Birmingham on the side, obviously coming from England.
Yes, so
Birmingham.
Yep. So the Tandies are all English built. The Bellis and Morecambe, that's Birmingham. Not sure where the Ellens one's from. Then we've got an old flat belt driven gap bed lathe.
Bedford's from England.
Yeah, Bedford is from England.
Bedford,
yeah,
that's where the Ellens engine's from.
Yeah, they used to make vans in cars, didn't they, many years ago?
Yes.
I think they're called, I can't remember off the top of my head what they're called now, but I think they have had a change in name. And just to note the various headboards and other bits and bobs over on the side wall over there. Various bits of jacks and other engineering equipment. You mentioned that this locomotive came back from South Africa.
Yes, so it's a South African built NGG 16 number 127, built under licence from Bay of Peacock, I believe.
Yeah.
It was brought back here about 3 years ago as a potential to restore one day to operation condition, but in 2'6" gauge.
So what are your plans for this locomotive? To have it restored, run in or anything?
Potentially, more in the not so soon future.
Could you tell me a bit about this Buick?
Originally a Mansfield car, it's been reassembled, only replacing what's necessary. So it's really just a conservation job.
Conservation project. Yeah.
It's had things like the tyres have been replaced, the windscreen, a little bit of the timber in the body. The upholstery's been done with leftover leather from old couches.
Yeah.
And it had a little bit of engine work, rings, and some resetting of valves.
Yeah. The headlights look like they're Art Deco.
They're the original headlights.
Yeah. What year is the car then? Would you say that's 1920, 1930 or something?
1925.
And does it work?
It does. It's currently got Victorian Club Reg on it.
Oh, okay. Any chance we could hear it running?
Sure.
Thank you. If you need any money for petrol, let me know. This is a rare opportunity to see an extremely rare car in a working condition. And also note the wooden wheels, as well I assume it's got a wooden steering wheel. And the horn still works as well. Not bad for a car that's just about 100 years old. Okay. If we walk back round the other side, we'll go and see some of those other steam engines. And I noted there's another rail car which says Coal Creek Tug. We'll go and have a look at that as well.
Yep.
Thank you for showing us that. That's brilliant.
No worries.
She just falls into the pit though.
Yeah, be careful. Don't stand back. Okay, number 14, another wood burner. Could you tell us about this?
It's a Lima Locomotive Works Shay, so Ohio, the USA. It's a 17-ton 2-cylinder. So purchased by the Alishan Forestry Commission in Taiwan, ran all its life there, and it was gifted to the PBPS in the mid-70s.
What are your plans for this loco? Would this run on your gauge, or is it a different gauge?
It's the same gauge as us. We'd like to restore it. There's no immediate plan to restore it. The main thing is we've got it under cover and it's been conserved.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. What about the colours? Is it original colours or
Originally it would have all just been
black?
Black.
Yeah. Wonderful. Could you just explain this mechanism to us?
So, like a conventional steam engine, you've got a cylinder with a piston rod coupled to a crosshead, which then drives the crank, the main rod via the crankshaft, which would then go to a universal joint, to a drive shaft, to the driven wheels.
Just to note, inside, the parts are mostly steel, unlike conventional steam engines, maybe from used on mainline passenger services. So just make a note of all those parts in there. These locomotives were often run to the ground, and you would find maintenance on there of all different fashions carried out, possibly with baked bean tins and sellotape. But still they served the railways, and here it is today. And there's a side view of the same locomotive. Is there any interesting features about this loco other than the drive shaft and the steel components inside the cab?
Yes, because the cylinders are mounted off the side of the boiler's actually offset in the frame to compensate for the extra weight on one side.
Yeah, very unusual. You wouldn't normally see that in a steam engine, but there we have it. And there's a wagon. Would this be a typical wagon it would have? Yeah,
typical wagon. This is actually an Australian one, but very similar to what they would have hauled as well.
Yeah.
So it's typical logging railway.
Yeah, used in forestry.
Yeah, Forestry Commission.
Yeah, beautiful.
So it's a partial explosives van built for the Maui to Walhalla Railway.
Yeah.
Similar, same railway to what Puffin Billy is.
Yeah.
It was built 1900. One portion was explosives, the other end was general freight.
Yeah.
Steel clad outside with timber doors. And then there was a partition in the middle to separate the general goods from the powder end.
Yeah. And I understand that when you took it apart, it had signatures inside the wall.
Yes.
Of the original builders.
Yes. So what we did with the steel work that's on the wagon was typically just rusted around the edges.
Yeah.
So we've removed it, we've put patching in rather than replacing the whole panel.
Yeah.
And while we had it all apart, we actually found the signatures from carpenters
Oh wow.
that had built the wagon.
Yeah. We'll move down. I just want to have a look at this last thing down in the end, and that's the yellow car.
Yeah. But it was originally a 3-wheeled rubber-tied aeroplane tug.
Ah.
And
And
somebody,
now-
at some stage, somebody's added rail wheels and...
Oh, looks like fun. Do you ever take it out?
No, we've never actually had it. It runs, but we've never actually had it outside on track.
I think you need to. Can you tell me what this is in front of me? Someone's just moving a roll of tape.
So this is Locomotive 3A, so it's the only unrestored puffing billy engine that's at the railway.
Yeah.
It's partially Victorian Railways built, partially Baldwin built. So the
Baldwin, Philadelphia.
Yep, Baldwin, Philadelphia. So the cylinders and the frame is Baldwin made. The rest of the locomotive was Victorian made.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the locomotive was sort of consumed in the early days of the preservation of the railway to keep the other NAs going.
Yeah.
It spent nearly all its working life on the Upper Finchley Gully to Gembrook line, and we've sort of got what's left, plus there's a few other bits and pieces that we can put on display for possibly either future restoration or just conservation the way it is.
Yeah, I do like it the way it is, but hopefully one day it would. The best way sometimes to see a steam engine is it actually running. So
the plan at the moment is really just to anything that's an original, either Baldwin constructed part or a Victorian Railways constructed part that becomes surplus from the workshops
will be added
back to it, especially if it was from this engine. Like a lot of the parts were interchangeable, but there's certain parts that are stamped with 3A.
Let's hope anybody out there who loves Philadelphia locomotives and has any spare parts might donate them, you never know. We've got a Baldwin loco that operates on one of the railways, and they've done it back to the original state, so it's got all the white lines and everything over it, and the American style text and things.
Yep.
And it's very odd to see it out in the English countryside because it doesn't really fit, but it's a really nice looking loco.
Yep.
You know, and shame not to do anything with it.